Please welcome Major Muhammad Ali Shah, a former Indian Army officer turned renowned motivational speaker and actor. Major Shah served in high conflict zones and was awarded a commendation card for his service. After his time in uniform, he went on to earn his management degree from IIM Calcutta and forged a path in the entertainment industry and global speaking circuits. Today he stands as the most invited TEDx speaker outside India, inspiring thousands with his powerful insights on leadership, resilience and personal transformation. Let's give a warm round of applause to Major Muhammad Ali Shah as he takes the stage. Major Shah. All yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You would like me to speak from the podium or? Anyway, I'm comfortable anyway. This is good. Thank you. I'm good. Thank you. Hello everyone, good evening and Jai Hind. How are you all? Leaving the first two rows aside, I would request everyone to just get up once, come on. You are looking very sleepy. Come on. Sit down. Get up. Sit down. Sit down. Okay, anyhow. So your director, Mr. Dr. Goyal, was talking about how you can be even 2 minutes late, how it can impact you. First, let me tell you a small story, a true story that happened in the year 2003. It was the month of October 2003, I was a young lieutenant. I was posted in a place called Akhnur in J&K, where I served for 2 years at the line of control. And we were manning the last post of the country, the last land of India. Our last post forward of a gun area, that post was actually eyeball to eyeball contact with the neighboring country, who we are not at all in good terms with. You all know that. So we were at a distance of 30 meters. How much is 30 meters? From here till there? Till where you're sitting? Here? And in the center, in the middle, there was this fencing. That's the line of control. And we were living in underground bunkers. We would use mosquito nets every night. There were too many mosquitoes, that's why. Well, that's not the only reason. Because we were living amongst snakes, cobras, python, vipers, scorpions, reptiles, and whatnot, you name them. So one fine day, now infiltration is something, it doesn't happen every day, right? A terrorist or someone illegal will not infiltrate all the time. So we were having dinner. And we got the information that in the particular village behind the line of control, where our gun area is located, that side, 4 to 5 chaps from across the border have come in with weapons. They're hiding inside one particular hut. And they're having dinner. When the moment we got this information, I was the QRT commander. You know what QRT is? QRT, exactly. So quick response team is what you all know. And it was quick reaction team, we would call it, in the army. So I was the QRT commander as well, apart from being the OP officer. OP is the observation point officer. So we sprung into action immediately. My brave men, Rajput troops, they surrounded that area, that village, and we cordoned and we kept going closer and closer. We launched an operation. There was a senior of mine, my senior subaltern. I was a young lieutenant that time. He was a captain. And he led the operation. I was the second in command. That's the twice of the operation. And when we, at night, pin drop silence, around midnight, we could only hear the dogs barking. And you know the sound of cricket? What do you call it? Cricket? How does that sound come? We could only see that and we could only hear that. And we could only see the stars, that's it. And there was a dense forest. So my senior captain Saab decides to go inside the hut, which was pinpointed, where the chaps across were hiding. So he says, मैं अंदर जा रहा हूँ, मेरे पीछे कोई नहीं आएगा. And he crawls and goes towards the hut. We all were wondering what's going to happen next. But orders from in the army, right? So he enters the hut. And the very second that he enters the hut, Shruti, we only hear gunfire from inside the hut. We're wondering what's going on inside. I hope the captain is safe. Well, after about 40-45 seconds, the door of the hut opens. And we see the daring, brave Captain Saab coming out from the hut, like how you would see in a Hollywood movie, right? Like that. And on his Motorola set, he passed the order. I have neutralized whoever was there in the hut. Ask the troops to stand easy. Means done. So anyhow, the men and our JC, our junior commissioner officer, took stock of the situation and we went back to our post. And we were having dinner. It had become cold, of course. But we didn't mind having cold dinner. It's okay. That evening, the captain shared a a lesson for life with me. He said, you know, Ali, when I entered the hut, at that point of time, there came a moment, a fraction of a second. I came face to face with the terrorist who had come from across. And there was this big man standing and looking up to me in the eye with his weapon pointing towards me and my weapon pointing towards him. Now we both were looking at each other, eye to eye. It was only a matter of friction of a millisecond. Not even a second, a millisecond. It was like, you know, fastest finger first. That is still a game. It's online, it's virtual. But here it's a matter of a life. And Dinesh bhai. So the captain opened fire first. And when he opened fire first, the terrorist fell down. It was that split second that saved his life. Now, would you call it a $1 million second? Well, a very illustrious general told me about this incident. He said it's called the second of a lifetime. It was a millisecond that saved his life. Now, that is the importance of a millisecond. That's the reason why in the army, defense forces personnel are very particular about timing. You all see on the Republic Day, right? On 26 January, when you see at Rajpath, now it's Kartavya Path. In our time, when I was in the army, it was known as Rajpath. And we see on top the aircraft flying in diamond formation, spear formation. Imagine split of a second. If something happens, they can be mid-air collision. They can be a disaster. Disaster. And imagine the audience sitting down. You all saw what happened in Ahmedabad at the Air India plane crash, unfortunately. Very sad. But miracles do happen. Seat number A11, Kumar Vishwas, an Indian-born UK national. He survived, but miracles happen to those who believe in miracles. I'll show you a small video, 30 seconds. In this, would you believe me, it was my weakness that in my parade, in my practice, when I came to Delhi, I had so much of energy and so much of josh and so much of passion and so much of drive inside me that when I would bang my leg hard on the ground for parade, I would bang it a bit too hard. I overdid it. As a result, I developed stress fractures in both my legs. Because there's a background to this. The background starts in the year 1987. In the year 1987, my sister, my real sister, who was the head girl of a school eventually, was chosen from a school, that time of course she was much junior, she was in junior school, to come for the parade. You know, bachon ki jhaaki jo hoti hai, in that. But then unfortunately, just a few days before 26 January 1987, my maternal grandfather, Nana, he passed away unfortunately. So we went to our hometown for his last rites. and she missed being in the parade. But the same year, one of my uncles, we come from a military family, you know, one of my uncles led the armored corps contingent. And when I joined the academy for my training in the army, I was excelling in all subjects. In physicals, I was super excellent, but there was one particular subject I was failing miserably and repeatedly. First attempt, fail. Second attempt, fail. Third attempt, fail. And then there was a midterm break. All the cadets went home. I didn't get permission to go home. I stayed back. Last 2 days, I had finished my punishment, so they allowed me to go home. So I only got about a day or two to come home. Whereas my other colleagues got more days. Now academy reopened. I had practiced so hard. Fourth attempt, fail. Fifth attempt, fail. Sixth attempt, fail. Now there was a mercy attempt, a dhakka attempt, a grace attempt. Come on, let's pass him. Come on, let's see. In that, what would have happened? Means pass the question or I passed? Okay, pass, okay. I fail in that again. Thereafter, I was marched up to the commandant of the academy, General Avasthi, with big moustaches from Rajput regiment, very imposing personality, very charismatic. I was marched up to him. I was standing before him in the office. I probably would have been the only cadet in the history of the Officers Training Academy to have been marched up to a commandant, by the way. So he said, son, I have your dossier. Dossier is in the French word for report card in front of me, and I see you are doing exceedingly well in all subjects. But there's one particular subject I see you are failing consistently and repeatedly. What happened, son? I hope everything's all right. I answered him, have you heard of Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw? Yeah? He was known for his sense of humor, which saved him many a times. So I have been greatly inspired by him. So I told him, sir, when I came for my training in the army, my father gave me a very, very invaluable advice. He said, son, do well in academy, make us proud, but always remember to keep your performance consistent. So I was only following my father's advice. He laughed. Hala bachcha pya. Hala bachcha. Isko pass karao, dhake maro, push-ups karao, front roll karao. Whole night I was doing front rolls outside my barracks. And finally the day came, 6 September 2003. Our passing out parade. So our course was getting passed out, but I was getting commissioned on one condition, that I will not take part in the passing out parade. So it was very big, it was a big humiliation for me. Now, as I told you, we have a military family. You know, my brother-in-law was serving in the Navy. My father was a serving Major General in the Army that time. So they had, all our relatives from who were in the forces had come. And I lied that I would be in this company, the middle row, the middle guy. I was very insulting, no? I would feel ashamed to tell them I'm not there in the parade. And now, my mother is smarter than any of us, by the way. So she came with binoculars. And obviously, I mean, she could spot that her son is not there. So finally, I had to confess, I had to tell that, actually I was punished, so I couldn't take part in the parade. But my dear friends, in the year 2008, the year I was completing my contractual period of 5 years, the short service commission in the army, when I told you when I had fractured legs, this is what happened. Can we have this video, please?
The unique feature of the BSF using cans. We have the Assam Rifles marching contingent, led by Major Thanks to the President, Major Muhammad Ali Shah, Sentinels of the Northeast. They have won 3 Ashok Chakras, along with numerous other awards.
Thank you very much. So, the strength lies all in the mind. Many times we have liabilities on a balance sheet. We have a lot of difficulties in life. We feel we cannot make it. But nothing in this world, let me tell you, nothing, absolutely nothing, is impossible. The mind can achieve what it can conceive. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win but think you cannot, there's almost a hint you won't. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win the prize. For out in the world we find success begins with a person's will. It's all in the state of mind. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster men. But sooner or later, the person who wins is the one who thinks he can. Right? If you can see it happen, it'll happen. It's like a golf swing or a golf putt. When you play golf, you have to be calm, composed. You have to watch, you have to visualize when you hit the ball, how you will swing the ball. How many of you have heard of a term called the elevator pitch? And why is it known as an elevator pitch? Well, let me tell you all, in my childhood, I had a very, very bad speech impediment. I couldn't speak clearly at all. Every sentence I would speak. Huh? What? I can't understand what you're saying. Say again. Say again. So as a result, I became very unsure and very underconfident and very shy and very timid. I started getting into a cocoon. I started faring miserably in my studies. To the extent that I actually failed in class 9th, by the way. And I'm not ashamed to say that. I repeated my 9th. So I have seen my batchmates become my seniors become my super seniors, and my juniors become my batchmates. And I was in a boarding school. But that's not important. I was the only one from my batch to finally go to a Premier B school, like the IIM Calcutta. I went there. And I got one of the highest placements on campus over there. So nothing is impossible, guys. So, elevator pitch. So I had got placed on campus with a company called Rolta Thales Limited, where I worked for 4 years. And one fine day, I was sitting at the stall at Pragati Maidan. Defense Expo it's called. And our stall next to us was the Mahindra and Mahindra stall. I am deliberately wearing this tie today for a specific reason, and I will tell you that reason why. And I was sitting there. This is my school tie, by the way. I went to a boarding school called Lawrence School, Lovedale, in Ooty. My parents were very kind to get me educated in the best. They gave me the best gift a parent could ever give to a child. That's the gift of education. And in fact, you should be thankful to your parents. Do you know how much sacrifice they would be making for your education? What pains they would be taking? You don't realize it until you become a parent yourself. Just about on 22nd of July, today is what, 25th? I saw a very, very fine WhatsApp forward on a WhatsApp group. I was so inspired by that, I made a video of that on my YouTube. It was about a lady for 12 years. She was a toilet cleaner in a school. And the boy she would come with to school, no one knew that boy who would come with a second-hand school bag which had patches on it was actually her son. And they would call her Auntie Toilet or Mop Cleaner or Kachre Wali Didi, that kind of stuff, those kind of names. With respect, that didn't mean to demean her, but that was the name given to her. But her son topped from that school, became the head boy, and got a very, very fine placement later on. Look at that. That is, and we don't realize the sacrifice our parents make for us. Do you all know? Do you all realize how much your parents love you? My dear children, do you realize that? When I say my dear children, it reminds me of a poem which Khalil Gibran, the great poet and philosopher from Lebanon, he wrote on children. He wrote, your children are not your children, they are the sons and daughters of life longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you, and though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You are the bowls from which your children are. So it's a very nice, fine poem, But anyway, so I was telling you about the elevator pitch. So I was sitting on the stall, and at the Rolta Thales Limited, I had finished about 4 years with them. And our next stall, the CMD of Mahindra and Mahindra, Mr. Anand Mahindra, is from my school, from Lawrence School, Lovedale. So we have a very, very strong alumni association. That's called the old school tie. So with the moment he came and I was sitting at a distance, I purposely tried to be more visible towards him. And he sees me. Hey, that's my school tie, come here. So I went up to him. Which school were you in? I told him, sir, I was from your school, Lawrence School, Lovedale, and what are you doing? So I'm working with this company, Rolta Thales Limited. Why? Why not with Mahindra and Mahindra? He told the Brigadier Qutub Hai was the managing director of the company that time, of the vertical, right? So he says, call him. I immediately, that time BlackBerry was in vogue. This is the year 2012. And I immediately sent my resume, and within half an hour I get a call from the head HR who said, by when can you come and meet me? Not for an interview, by when can you come and meet me? So I say, so at this time we'll finish okay, we generally finish the office by 5:30, we'll wait for you. You come whenever you can. On my way back from Pragati Maidan to Gurgaon, I stopped by at Bikaji Kama place near Hotel Hyatt in Delhi. And till 7 in the evening, and they were all waiting for me. So the moment I entered, he said, though it's raining outside, the weather seems quite okay. Where do you stay? I stay in Gurgaon. How will you come? So the questions asked me were not professional questions, by the way. They're nothing about the job. They asked me very, very general questions. And then they asked me, when can you join us? So I said, sir, I need to give about 2 months notice to my company. And oh, we'll buy your notice. Come on, it's okay. Can you join us tomorrow? I was like, what? Tomorrow? Anyhow, so I didn't serve the entire notice period, but it was my moral responsibility to at least, even though they were buying my notice, but it was unethical on my part. Just because they're buying my notice, I have to give a handing taking over, and I had to leave on a very good note. So I parted with my company on a very, very good note. And when I was leaving that company, the CEO of that company told us, son, remember one thing. The doors of this company would be open to you whenever you wish to come back. That gave me a lot of emotional strength. And before I got this, and that's how I joined Mahindra & Mahindra, where I worked for about a year. But let me tell you, before I joined Mahindra's, and before I joined Voltas as well, when I was in IIM Calcutta, in the year 2008, the Great Depression, recession had come in, right? So companies were not coming on campus for recruitment. And one company called Sharp Menthol from China decided to come on campus. They came to Calcutta all right, but they didn't come on a campus. They came to ITC Shanoor, Bangla. They said, you all come here, we'll interview here. So we hired a bus, and all of us went there for the interview. And we were all preparing for questions, what they're going to ask us. I knew very well, there were 54 of us. They'll ask me, why should we hire you? All of you are from IIM Calcutta. आप फौजी हो तो क्या हुआ? Everybody has equal brains. यहाँ पे IIT वाले भी हैं. So I was very smart. You got to be street smart in today's day and age. So as I was entering, I saw 4 Oriental men standing there. So I walked up to them, sir, are you from China? They said, no, we're from Korea. Oh, I was looking out for someone who could teach me a bit of Chinese. So, oh, I know Chinese, I can tell you. So he told me basics like what's your name, how are you, have you eaten, ni hao mar, ni hao, and very basics of it. So I learned kaise ho, kya karte ho, all those small things. So in the interview they asked me, why should we hire you? Now, everybody is professionally competent. So I said, sir, because I speak Chinese. You won't have to reinvent the wheel. So I spoke to them in a bit of tutti-putti Chinese, and I got the job. Straight away, there and there, I got a job offer. So you got to be street smarter. Oh, thank you very much. So you've got to be street smart as well. And another time, when I was, there are a lot of stories to tell you. When I was applying for the army, I had gone for my SSB, Services Selection Board, where you would be knowing very well. So on my first day, people were screened out. Second day, they were conferenced out. This, that, and fourth day, I made it till the medical. On the medical, I get a plus sign. So I felt, ab lieutenant saab ban gaye. And lieutenant was a rank for me, which was more than a general for me at that time. It meant the world to me. In the medicals, they stamped my papers, and the stamp was rejected. My world came shattering down. I said, I have reached so far. It was like a mirage. In the desert, when you're thirsty and you're tired, you see an oasis, you see water, you see greenery, you come closer and you find it's not there, it never existed. So I was very disheartened, very disappointed. Immediately I rushed towards the military hospital, commandant of the military hospital in Allahabad, where my SSB was. SSB Allahabad is known as a rejection center, there you said it. And I'll tell you also why. So I waited for the commandant to come. And now, कितना time होता है जब commandant साहब अपनी office से लेकर अपनी गाड़ी में बैठेंगे 10 seconds? 15 seconds? But I said, I will do the trick then and there. So as the commandant came out, I waited in the hot sun, scorching sun. There was no tree, I couldn't get shade. But I waited there. I waited for the commandant to come out of the office, walk till this gypsy. 10 seconds. I walked up to him with a lot of josh and vigor and said, Jai Hind, sir. He looked at me and I said, sir, it's my dream and my passion. I only want to join the army. I can't think of anything else. I like your spirit. Well done. Okay, so what's the problem? So I've got a rejection and please help me out. Son, no one can help you. I'm sorry if you have been medically rejected. No one can help you. But anyhow, show me your documents. So I showed him my documents. He said, it's only a temporary rejection, man. Come on. Get a surgery done, get an operation done and reappeal in the medical board. So I had to go through a very, very painful surgery, a very, very painful operation in a military hospital, Secunderabad. It was my second nose surgery. I'm a boxer. My name is Muhammad Ali, So I have broken noses, but as karma says, it comes back to you as well. So my nose was broken. So I got a deviated nasal septum, very, very painful surgery in general anesthesia, pura behosh karke mere ko operation hua, and I joined the army after that. That was again one elevator pitch that I made to the commandant of the military hospital. Third elevator pitch is very interesting, which most of you would be interested in knowing, because as we saw, Dinesh Mohan Saab mentioned in Bharat, he had a scene with Salman Khan. So I had a very, very chance meeting with Salman Khan in Bombay, and I acted in a few films. Now you'll wonder, अरे कौन सी फिल्म में act किया है? कभी देखा तो नहीं यार? कौन है ये? कौन सा actor है? So I'll tell you. So because why? Because whatever work I have done different get-ups. I have specialized. I have had very great mentors, thankfully, very good teachers who have taught me and who have painfully taught me, in fact. The best in the world, I would say, not just best in the country. And I'm not just saying it cliche as people say, a teacher best in the world. Genuinely best in the world. Like Nasiruddin Shah Saab taught me the craft of acting. Tom Walter Saab taught me about the craft of theatre. Anyhow, so I was struggling in Bombay. I was almost giving up. I acted in a film with Vishal Bhardwaj called Heather. Have you seen Heather? So, but you wouldn't remember me, would you? I had a very good scene in Heather. Very, very good scene. Anyhow, because the biggest compliment I got was when we were watching the premiere of Heather, and Vishal Bhardwaj, Tabu, Shahid Kapoor, Irfan Khan, KK Menon, we were all sitting together having popcorn. And I appear on screen. There was a full 70 mm of me on screen. And I say, no militant dead or alive is worth my soldier's life. Party, loud, ready, fire, boom! And they blow up Heather's house in the initial scene. So the person sitting next to me is having popcorn. We were sharing the same packet. ये कौन है ये एक्टर? आप बताइए कौन है ये एक्टर? तो he looked at me, I looked at him. पहले तो कभी देखा नहीं इनको, कोई नए आए हैं शायद, नए आए हैं, मगर काम बड़ा अच्छा कर रहे हैं. So the compliment to me for two reasons. First, because he couldn't recognize who I am. If अगर आप पहचानने नहीं जा रहे, ढल गए उस कैरेक्टर में, मतलब आपने काम कर दिया अपना, right? And second, he said, काम बड़ा अच्छा कर रहे हैं. So I was very, very happy. And after that, Heather did very, very well. It got 5 national awards, numerous Filmfare awards. So one fine day, cutting a very long story short, I gate crashed, I would say, into an event, into a Filmfare award ceremony. Do I needed work? Desperately. In borrowed clothes, not even my own. I didn't have clothes to wear for that event, that particular day. And let's have तो आपको ये दिख रहा है, I was sitting in the front row on the aisle seat, which is the VV, not the VIP, VVIP seat. On the right side, you can see Sony का जो ठप्पा है वो TV पे आया था. So, and that's me. I was growing a beard for a film called Yara, where I play a Sikh gentleman in this film. And Tigmanshu Dhulia had just won a national award for a film called Pan Singh Tomar. After Pan Singh Tomar, he was directing a film called Yara, for which he liked my small bit in Heather, and he called me. And that's when I said, I was enthusiastic. I said, I'll grow my beard and I'll grow my hair. And you can make out the suit that I'm wearing is not my suit. I'm floating in that suit, right? Let's have the next slide. That's Salman Khan, that's me, and that's the director of Bajrangi Bhaijaan, Kabir Khan. Now what happens, I had a chance meeting with Salman Khan. He comes and sits right next to me. Now my elbow is touching his elbow, and I'm like, भैया ऐसा मौका अब दोबारा नहीं आएगा. ये मौका है, मार दो चौका. So I told Salman Khan, Adab Salman bhai, I am Major Shah. Time up. I'm just joking. I could see the reaction. Everyone said, oh, come on. Just kidding. So he said, yeah, Major Shah. With peering eyes, he looked at me. And I had just about 7 seconds. I did not know Salman Khan will get up and go from there. But itne mein he I did the trick. I gripped him, I said something to him, which intrigued him to talk to me further now. Now, I didn't have to go after him. He was talking to me. And हमारी दोस्ती ऐसी हुई उसके बाद से. He got me work in a film called Bajrangi Bhaijaan. Have you seen Bajrangi? Thank you. I got paid handsomely for that, much more than I had expected I would get paid. And more than that, I made contacts with the entire team. And then this is that's Salman Khan's personal farmhouse. That's his personal gym, his swimming pool. And the photograph has been taken by Salman Khan. Nobody else but Salman Khan himself. बल्कि एक फोटोग्राफ में सलमान खान दिख रहे हैं. तो ये जब आपको अच्छा इसमें ओके थैंक यू सो मच सर. Now we can let's have those slides of my Golden Temple visit. जब मेरे को सरदार का रोल मिला अमृतसर में, तो when I signed this film, that's how I look like. Let's have the slide in a random order. So I was a chain smoker, by the way, and I quit smoking. क्योंकि सरदार सिगरेट नहीं पीते हैं भाई, है ना? तो मैंने कहा भाई मैं सिगरेट नहीं पीऊंगा आज से, and I chucked up my cigarette packet. Thereafter I caught a train. That's me as a young Sikh gentleman in this film. I age in the film. I become, that's me about 21 years old and a newly joined IPS officer supposedly in the film. And I'm a 59-year-old joint director CBI in the film as well. वो old photo है sir before after की यहाँ पे या old सरदार जी की वो अगर आप है तो दिखाइए अगर आप. Yeah, that's me. That's before and after. And जो other photograph है उसमें there is no makeup by the way. That is because when you get a job, it's very difficult again to now hold on to the job. So my liability was I didn't look like a Sikh. I was supposed to be known as a चिकना चेहरा. अरे ये क्या वो रोल करेगा भाई? But I said नहीं, अब तो काम मिला है and I'm hungry for that work. I'm thirsty for that work. I'm passionate for that work. I got to make it happen. I took the Golden Temple Express the same evening without a ticket, without a confirmed ticket. General Dibbe mein, I put a newspaper outside the sleeper class bathroom in the corridor and slept there. And that's how I traveled. Then I reached Amritsar station. Have you heard of Vikram? Vikram सवारी होती नहीं है ऑटो में जिसमें 6-8 लोग बैठते हैं, टिकट 10 रुपए का सब देते हैं, शेयरिंग. So I took a Vikram. I went to Jallianwala Bagh. That's where the Golden Temple is. And I got off. The moment I saw the Golden Temple in front of me, I froze. Thereafter I went inside. I met the Granthis. The Granthi Sahib, I told them I am Muhammad Ali Shah and I want to learn about Sikhism. They didn't just welcome me only, they embraced me. They were very happy. So let's have the pictures in random order, sir. अब तो दिखाते रहिए. Yeah, that's और दिखाते रहिए जितना तेज. But randomly, there are some pictures that I had taken while I was there. Let's go back. ये सुबह 3 बजे ली गई है कुक हाउस में. So those boris, those sacks, I had carried them on my back from the main gate to the cook house. So आटे, दाल, चावल, शक्कर की जो बोरियां थी ना, I would carry them on my back and I would keep them and we would dress them. Next, sir, next. Okay, let's go back. Yeah. So now because I had grown that beard, I got a lead role, title role called the Ruffian, a role in this film. क्योंकि दाढ़ी थी मेरी वहां पे. And that film won several awards. In the year 2016, I won 19 awards, but I was told by a PR agency to claim that you got only 16 awards. Why? Because it sounds very good. 2016 में 16 अवार्ड मिले हैं. मिले तो थे तकरीबन 19. But anyhow, next sir, next. वो वीडियो, हाँ ये वीडियो दिखाइए. Yes, so this is again. I did not know that one of my friend that I had made in the Golden Temple had filmed this. I did not know that this was being filmed. ये बाद में उन्होंने मेरे को भेजा है WhatsApp पे. ये मुझे मालूम बिल्कुल नहीं खबर थी कि ये फिल्म हो रही है. So So I used to mop the floor, I would sleep on the ground, I had a chadar, and the Granthi Sahib told me that why Guru Ji ki kripa aapke sir par hamesha bani rahegi. At that time, maybe I didn't understand the meaning. My first TEDx talk in the year 2019, in January 2019, was in Amritsar at Mount Literala Ji School, TEDx Youth. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And उसके बाद मैंने वर्ल्ड रिकॉर्ड कायम कर दिया. Will Smith, he had come to India, he called for me, and he told me, you will be a great speaker one day. This was before I gave my first TEDx talk. And उसके बाद रिकॉर्ड कायम हो गया भाई, TEDx का. And that TEDx is, you get a brand value with it. Speaker तो मैं वही था, आवाज भी वही थी, I looked the same, appearance was the same. But because I became a TEDx speaker, now there were corporates calling me to give talks suddenly overnight. They were, itna farak ho gaya that I can't tell you. And so that way I want to tell you that, you will get the right opportunity. You will definitely get. The trouble is, or the question is, how well prepared are you to grab that opportunity when it strikes your doorway? You will get the opportunity when preparation meets opportunity. When preparation meets, it is luck. What is luck? So keep yourself well prepared. Sharpen the saw. You will get the right opportunity and you will be lucky. There's much more, much more, but then I think time is running out. But if you want to know more about it, you can see on my YouTube channel. If you put in Major Dr. Muhammad Ali Shah, doctor मतलब मैं doctor PhD doctor नहीं हूँ, ना ही मैं BBA doctor हूँ. I've been honored with an honorary doctorate by a very, very prestigious university. So तो होता नहीं है, जिसके पास होता नहीं है वो दिखाता नहीं है, जिसके पास होता है उसको दिखाई जरूरत नहीं है, right? So that way, so thank you very much and Jai Hind.
थैंक यू सो मच मेजर शाह. मैं आपके बारे में क्या ही कहूँ, मैं तो सामने बैठ के खुद बस खो गई थी एक दुनिया में. मैं भी स्टोरी टेलिंग की दुनिया से आती हूँ, मगर जिस तरह से आप बात बताते हैं, मुझे ऐसा लग रहा था कि मैं उस दुनिया में ट्रांसपोर्ट हो गई हूँ और वो विजुअल्स मेरे सामने तैर रहे हैं. आपकी पूरी बात मुझे विजुअल फॉर्मेट में नजर आ रही थी. शायद ये मेरी मेंटल कंडीशनिंग है, नहीं, ये आई थिंक आपकी ही स्टोरी टेलिंग का जादू है, जो इस तरह से आपको महसूस होता है कि आप मेजर शाह के साथ उस जगह पे मौजूद हैं. थैंक यू सो मच फॉर दिस इंस्पिरेशनल टॉक. नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू ओपन द हाउस फॉर फ्यू क्वेश्चंस इफ यू हैव फॉर मेजर शाह.
थैंक यू वेरी मच. और आप जिस तरीके से आप एमसिंग करती हैं वही काबिल तारीफ है वाकई में.
बहुत शुक्रिया.
रियली वेरी गुड.
थैंक यू सो मच. जी पूछिए.
Hello, sir. I'm Mansi.
Hi Mansi, where are you? Hi Mansi, how are you?
Hello, sir. Sir, as someone who has born in a naval household.
Army household.
A naval household.
Oh, you? Okay.
Yes,
right.
sir.
Oh,
My
wow.
father was in Navy, yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
So I deeply respect the energy and the aura you carry, and that is really unmatched. So my question is that what is one core value that you have acquired from the armed forces and you still carry it to whatever field you get in?
Discipline. You got to be disciplined, Motivation will not, being a motivational speaker, I can tell you one thing, motivation may not last. After you hear me as a motivational speaker, the best motivator is you, your own self. You get me the best motivational speaker in the world, yeah. I can challenge you. You'll not be able to motivate me the way I can motivate my own self. और ये आग आती कहाँ से है? People ask me. इतनी आग, इतना पैशन है, इतना जुनून है आप में, वो आता कहाँ से है? इतनी तैयारी करी थी मैंने. अभी I didn't tell you what preparation I did. I have completed reading the Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji, by the way. You'll be very happy to know that. Yeah. And not just the Gurumukhi. और पंजाबी बोलनी सीखी मैंने. हम यूपी के भैया हैं भाई. पंजाबी, I don't know if it's been many years, been a decade, so I have to speak like something like, ओए पोरा भी अकल नहीं रही, ओए किताबा नहीं देना कुछ, ओए वाडिया नाल गल करन दी अकल होनी चाहिए है, ओए गुरुवार मुड़ के नहीं बेकता कांजर है. So I had to speak ठेठ Punjabi, not the one that you would speak here or in cities. Of a different accent. वो सब तैयारी करी, हाथ में कड़ा के कच्छा कृपान सब. I did everything. ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं भूल गया था कि मैं अली हूं और मैं जसजीत सिंह हूं. नहीं, only if I believe myself that I am Jasjeet Singh, I cannot expect my audience to believe. Similarly, if you're selling a product, unless you believe in that product, you can't sell that product. You have to have full knowledge of that, right? So one thing that I've learned is discipline. Motivation will go, but discipline will remain. So because my grooming was well in an army household and in the army as well. So yeah, discipline is the core value.
Thank you so much.
All right,
sir.
before we go to the next question, I have a question for you. You told us about your journey from army to films to business studies, management studies. How are you so fluid in transitioning? Because हमें क्या होता है पहले तो मेरे जमाने में मम्मी डैडी बताते थे कि आपको क्या पढ़ना है और क्या करना है. आजकल आई होप इट इज डिफरेंट. आप भी बताते होंगे वैसे ही है, मम्मी डैडी बताते हैं. पर यूजुअली हमें एक करियर बता दिया जाता है या मनवा लिया जाता है कि आप यही करेंगे. हाउ आर यू सो फ्लूइड? What was the driving force and why so many diverse profiles?
Very, very good question. Thank you very much for answering that. You know, one of my favorite writers, William Shakespeare, once said in this poem by As You Like It, you know, he wrote this play As You Like It, and that is the poem. 7 stages of a man, in which he says, all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man's life plays many parts. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. And then the whining schoolboy with a satchel, with a shining morning face, unwillingly to school, creeping like snail. So like, you know, there are different stages he's mentioned. और हम सब अपना किरदार निभा तो रहे हैं. You are playing the role of students, you are playing the role of teachers, you are playing a role of, I was playing the role of an army officer. Right from my childhood, I was inspired by one of the greatest actors in the world, I would say, Nasiruddin Shah. So I saw him playing different roles on screen, in reel. I also want to play different roles on reel, no doubt, but I said, let me play different roles in real as well. So I had not got admission at the National School of Drama. Twice I tried. You know the famous actor Pankaj Tripathi? So Pankaj is a very dear old friend of mine. Pankaj and I tried together in the year 2001. Pankaj made it, I didn't make it. So Pankaj said, कोई बात नहीं अली भाई, आप दोबारा ट्राई करिए अगले साल. But remember one thing, आप हॉस्टल में होंगे, आप जूनियर होंगे हमारे, आपकी हम खूब रैगिंग करेंगे. मैं कहा लिए लो भैया. वैसे ही मैंने बैच में मेरे सीनियर बन चुके थे स्कूल में, क्लास 9th में. अब मैं एनएसडी में भी मेरे ये लोग बेसिक होंगे, कोई बात नहीं. आई ट्राइड अगेन फॉर द एनएसडी इन द ईयर नेक्स्ट ईयर 2002. अगेन आई फेल्ड. And so I joined the Short Service Commission to train as a commando. I want to join the para commandos, wear a maroon beret, chidiya, baldan badge, jump from the aircraft, and whatnot. I had that passion in me. But then towards the end, I had a change of heart. I filled my form for the Regiment of Artillery, and I joined the Regiment of Artillery. So अब जब फौज के बाद I was very lucky that, you know, I saw the best of army in 5 years, what I could see. In 3 years' time, in 2 years' time, I became a captain. In 3 years' time, I became a major. In 2 years' service, I was flying in helicopters all over Northeast. In fact, this badge you see, it's called the Director General Assam Rifles Commendation Card. Last year, I remember, it was 27th July, I had come on this very stage. You were very much here. And just 2 days before that, it's now 25th July. I got this badge on 22nd July last year. And I had just got this badge and I had come. And I was very, very thankful.
Wow.
It's for my passion for the northeast part of India. That time I told you there's a different story. In fact, your seniors will tell you about it. They're in second year now. You know the story where we were captured by the insurgents and they were going to shoot us. And I started speaking to them in their language. मैं तुमसे आओ एक बार आई भी तो थकी भी बोई बता मोई लगा ना मलीबा से भी लगा से अपुई लोग तो लोग पाई करना बीच बीच पैसे पुनी खाई से खाना है पीस लगा हम के बना से अपुई लोग तो लोग पाई करना बीच बीच पैसे. So I spoke to him in his language. So my skills as an actor as well, in the army as well, also वो भी काम आई. जाने बच गई मैं 5 soldiers की. So and after I got through I am calculator. So I thought मैं वो 6 महीने नागालैंड के अंदर पहाड़ चढ़ूंगा. वो 6 महीना I'll get to study in a premier B school. And that's how, you know, life is.
Wow, you've been blessed and lucky and talented as well, obviously. More questions for Major Shah?
Sir, last year you told us half of the story.
हाँ.
And I'm here to
Listen to the
अरे
rest of the
मतलब आपने YouTube चैनल पे नहीं देखा मेरे, पकड़ लिया. मैं कहा था कि वो टाइम नहीं देता तो आप YouTube चैनल पे देख लेना मेरे. कोई बात नहीं. क्यों नहीं देखा आप लोगों ने? करिए अभी देखिए, अभी सब्सक्राइब करिए आप. कम ऑन.
ये भी सही है.
ये भी सही है, बिल्कुल.
टीज करके छोड़ें. That's like a true digital media professional nowadays.
Okay, so go on YouTube, take out your phones, go on YouTube, put Major Dr. Mohammad Ali Shah, और जो कमेंट करता है मेरे वीडियो से वो मेरा बहुत अच्छा ऑनलाइन फ्रेंड बन जाता है.
अच्छा, मैं भी यहाँ पे पिच करती चलूं, मिशा बाजवा चौधरी भी गूगल कर लीजिए.
बिल्कुल, there you are, there you are.
फॉलो और
There you are.
सब्सक्राइब कीजिएगा.
Yes.
Any more questions for Major Shah?
Yes.
There's one person at the back.
Wow, I was a backbench all my life, yeah.
Hello, sir. Myself Karthik. Actually,
Hi,
I
Karthik.
don't have any question, but I just want you to repeat that dialogue of Indian Army, your Haider film.
Of हैदर फिल्म, अरे यार हैदर फिल्म तो फिल्म को मैं रियल लाइफ का नहीं, रियल लाइफ का बोलता हूँ मैं, ठीक है
नहीं
आपको.
बोल रहा.
मेरे एक सीनियर थे कैप्टन कैंगरूजे, वो भी नागालैंड से थे, जहां पे उनको दफनाया गया था. ही लॉस्ट लाइफ इन कारगिल एंड इन 1999. एंड व्हेन ही कैप्चर्ड द पीक इन कारगिल, द मेन सेड, ये जीत आपकी है नीमो साहब, ये हिल आपका है, आज से ये हिल नीमो हिल कहलाएगा. That hill is, if ever you go to Kargil to see where the Indian Army fought bravely for your tomorrow, it's called Nemo Hill. So where he was buried, it's written over there, how can a man die better than facing fearful odds, serving the ashes of his fathers in the temple of his gods? And on the tombstone in Kohima World War Cemetery, close by, it's written over there, when you go home, tell them of us. And say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू सो मच. और एक लास्ट क्वेश्चन मेरी तरफ से और वो सब लोगों को रियलिटी में ले आएगा कि आज हम यहाँ पर इकट्ठा क्यों हुए. सो माय क्वेश्चन टू यू इज, व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन द एआई?
Ah, very good question, you know.
and
Very good
and
question.
what do you make of it, like the
Yeah.
whole artificial intelligence madness?
Thank you for asking me that, you know. My dear friends, there are two major challenges that are facing the world today. And the two major challenges are not Russia-Ukraine war or Israel-Iran war. No. The two major challenges are artificial intelligence, and second is natural stupidity. And if we rely on the first one, we'll become more and more stupid. But we have to adapt. As Charles Darwin said, survival of the fittest. Now, when he said survival of the fittest, it does not mean that the strongest or the tallest or the largest or the most intelligent or the most good-looking guy will survive. No. He means the one who can adapt will survive. So, we have, whether we like it or not, we can't do without technology. We cannot do without AI. So, we have to... Like, I had the honor recently, a few days back, to meet the #1 robo in the world, very famous, called Sophia. Not Colonel Sophia Qureshi. Sophia Qureshi is again a friend. वो अलग बात है. Her twin sister is again a very dear friend. I have interviewed them on my... वो भी आपको देखने को मिल जाएगा इंटरव्यू मेरे YouTube चैनल पे. तो anyway, but Sophia was this... जी?
Another plugin.
Again, yeah. Yeah. So, Sophia को मिला मैं, and Sophia was like a human being, yeah. She could shake hands, she could talk, she could converse, she could watch. And if you ask her who's your favorite actor, who's your favorite director, she would tell you everything. So yeah, you have to be not dependent, because we only have created technology, but you have to be technically very, very savvy.
Absolutely. Huge round of applause for Major Shah. Thank you so much for inspiring us, for sharing your stories with us, because they, of course, we are going to take it back home with us forever in our minds. Thank you so much. जोरदार तालियां बजती रहे. While I invite on stage Dr. Mohammad Faisal Noor, Associate Professor, to please come up on stage and felicitate Major Shah. जोरदार तालियां
अरे क्या
Major
बात
Shah
है.
के लिए.
It's an honor to get it from Faisal Bhai. Faisal Bhai is we have a lot of common friends together, and he's an alumni of the Aligarh Muslim University.
And I've got to know that he really adores you.
Oh, how sweet. भाई फोटो लेगा पक्का से है फैसल भाई के साथ, प्लीज.
यहाँ आ जाइए आप. यहाँ आ जाइए. Please be in the light. आप लाइमलाइट आपके पीछे पीछे ही है. स्पॉटलाइट आप ही के पीछे है.
मोबाइल से ले लो यार, कोई कम से कम इंस्टेंट मिल जाएगी कम से कम.
जोरदार तालियों के साथ रुखसत करेंगे मेजर शाह को। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया फॉर इंस्पायरिंग ऑल ऑफ अस। थैंक यू फैजल साहब, थैंक यू। Thank you so much. Thanks. And now moving on, true leadership begins with knowledge. And our next session, prerequisite of leadership, knowledge explore this essential foundation through the experiences of a remarkable leader. Please join me in welcoming Lieutenant General Zamiruddin Shah, a highly decorated former Indian Army officer and a distinguished educational leader. From serving as the Deputy Chief of Army Staff to leading key operations during the 2002 Gujarat riots and representing India as military attaché to Saudi Arabia, his career reflects courage, discipline and service. Post-retirement, he brought the same leadership to academia as Vice-Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University. He is also the author of the acclaimed autobiography, The Sarkari Musalman, and yes, the elder brother of actor Nasiruddin Shah. Let's welcome Lieutenant General Zamiruddin Shah to the stage for an inspiring talk on leadership through knowledge.
Are you flashing that slide? Jai Hind. Sat Sri Akal. Lesson number 1. Learn the language and the greetings where you live. It is most important. It breaks the ice immediately. I congratulate you on this day. I want to flash a slide. George Martin says, I lived 1,000 lives and I've loved 1,000 loves. I've walked on distant worlds and seen the end of time for one reason, because I read. And that is something I'm going to talk about. I want to congratulate you. My Aramb, that means after I finished my senior Cambridge, was at the National Defence Academy when I was 15 and a half years old. And the moment I landed up in Khadakwasla, I was given a big bag of books, 30 or 40 books and presses. I had joined the army thinking that all I would be doing would be marching around and shooting. And I said, what are these for? And my instructor told me, they are for you to read. And I did. That is the first place where I started reading. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no shortcut to reading. If you want to remain active, if you want to remain with the times, you got to read. Equip yourselves for the role you are going to take on. You are going to be future leaders, or should I say managers. What do you want to be? You want to be a leader or a manager? Well, both are intertwined. To be a good leader, you have to be a good manager too. Because a leader not only leads by example, but he or she manages the resources provided to them. So you are both leader and a manager. And that is what you should intend to be. Now the surest way to become a good leader is to learn from, firstly, your own mistakes, but more important, mistakes of others. The reasons why they succeeded or the reason why they failed. That is very important for a leader to fathom and to follow. Why is a military veteran talking about management? As I explained, a military leader is also a manager. Both are interchangeable. There's no difference between the two. Your textbooks might tell you a lot of differences, but let me tell you, there are none. A manager concentrates more on material. A leader concentrates more on the human side, but both are intertwined. In my opinion, there's really no difference. Management jargon has been borrowed from military language. They've just given it a different version of it, but management really started from the military. In the military, you have to know what is available, you have to know what your aim is, and work towards utilizing the manpower and the resources to achieve success. Your aim will be to manage and utilize the resources, the machinery, and the manpower which is going to be at your disposal for profit. A military leader aims for victory. Your victory is if you can produce profit and also look after the resources placed to you. That is something which managers should not forget. And boys and girls, all of this you can learn from reading. Read, read, read. How many of you have read today's newspaper? I'm not going to ask you what you read. Okay, you read. I'm sure there must be others. You will say probably the newspaper was not available. But the newspapers are all in your pocket. How? Let me tell you how. There's an app called Magster. M-A-G-Z-T-E-R. How many of you have heard of it? Please note it. It is available to you for about 2,000 rupees a year. And it gives you not 2,000, 10,000 newspapers, magazines all over the world, in all the languages. And it is in your phone, smartphone, Magster. I recommend that you read it, make use of it, and widen your knowledge. Reading is vital for you to make progress. Reading is vital for you to survive. What to talk of progress? For you to survive. If you don't read, maybe I'm not talking of WhatsApp library posts. They are rubbish. Read serious literature. Read literature from which you can learn. I think the WhatsApp library gives you all negative inputs. So it is very difficult, but do it. Another thing, if you don't have access to books and magazines, again, do digital reading. This you can easily do. Digital reading is very, very important. And what you will learn from reading is that many people had crazy ideas. But let me tell you, the craziest idea will probably be the most successful. When I was commanding a brigade in insurgency in Manipur, we had the problem of the insurgents hiding in the Loktak Lake. Loktak Lake is the largest freshwater lake in India. It stretches for miles and miles. And in Loktak Lake are floating islands where the insurgents get succor. They hole out in those. And whenever we went into operations with our boats, they would fire and sink the boats. So we were wondering how to overcome this problem. We couldn't swim. The lake is too large. So one of the commanding officers told me, sir, give me 1 week and I'll produce an unsinkable boat. So we gave him the opportunity, and after a week, he came. He was from a Gurkha battalion. He came with bamboo shafts tied together in a raft, buoyed by thermocol bags, big thermocol bags, and we fired into the thermocol bags. What happens? The bullet just goes through, punctures 1 or 2 of the bags, but the boat still remains afloat. Unlike what we had tried earlier with tires or tubes, no, they don't work. So it was a crazy idea, but it succeeded. So remember that the craziest idea, you as managers or leaders must never shoo away crazy ideas. Examine them. Give the crazy person a chance to prove his or her idea. So books are vital for your progress. Some books are to be tasted. Let you just have a look. Others to be read. And some to be chewed and digested. You must chew and digest the books of great authors who have written about management, who have written about progress. I'll come to this later. Inculcate the habit of reading. It is a habit. If you don't get into the habit, you will never read. So my recommendation to you is devote certain time of the day to reading. And also, you must have been told, read widely. My advice to you is read smart. Read what is pertinent, read what is current, read smart. And you know what? For you, reading smart is reading about management, reading about industry. Also, when I was in school, we didn't have all these smart things. We had to read library books, which I loved doing. I inculcated the habit of reading in school. But if you were reading a library book, you were also expected to have a dictionary alongside it. Because it is pointless reading if you don't understand every single word of what you've read. How many of you do that? It's all available on your phone. Get the dictionary app, Oxford Dictionary app, free. And if you don't understand anything, for God's sake, go to the dictionary and find out what the meaning is. Another thing which I will recommend is a thing called a thesaurus. Thesaurus. How many of you know what a thesaurus is? Yeah, you young people. What is a thesaurus? Oh, you must. You must know. A thesaurus is the opposite of a dictionary. A dictionary is something for which you want the meaning of. But suppose there's an idea in your mind and you can't get the exact word. The thesaurus will answer you. it'll give you option of about 20 or 30 words. So, boys and girls, upload the dictionary on your smartphone, upload the thesaurus. These two are going to be valuable aids as you progress in life. Reading depends on whether you are an early morning bird or a late night bird or a midday bird. So read at the time when your mind is most receptive. I prefer reading at about 4:30 in the morning because my army training has made me an early morning bird. But if the other hours suit you, follow that. But make it a habit. Explore various authors. As I said, read smart. If something doesn't appeal to you, if some subject doesn't appeal to you, don't persist in reading it. Drop that book. I would recommend and advise you, read one book at a time. If you are reading a novel, I've seen people reading 3 novels at one time. 1 hour. No. Read, my advice is, read one book at a time. If it appeals to you, chew and digest it and also swallow it. And follow, examine the ideas. Even the most ridiculous ideas, examine why it has been written. What was the intention of the author? Why did he or she write that? It is very important to interpret the thought of the idea which has been penned down. If you are old-fashioned, you take a book from the library. I'm sure you got a well-equipped library. But I would suggest that you build a personal library of your own. It'll be a great amount of wealth accumulated. You must spend a portion of the funds available to you to build up your own library. If you don't want to do that, there's an instrument called Kindle. How many of you have heard of a Kindle? Wonderful. Make use of a Kindle. That is a library you are carrying around in your pocket. So do that. A Kindle allows you not only to read, but to bookmark, highlight important portions. I want to suggest that when you read, take down notes of the important facets of the material you are reading. These will come in great use to you in later life. Quotes, different ideas. Let me tell you that my smartphone has got thousands of quotes, thousands of little nuggets which I picked up from various books, and I use them when the occasion demands. You as a leader will be asked to speak when you have not prepared. Doesn't matter. Many times, in fact most of the times, you'll not get a chance to prepare. But if you are carrying the notes in your pocket, all you need to do is flash through, the ideas will come and you can speak. So remember, you have to be prepared for situations and you should never be embarrassed by looking blank. I've already said, jot down what you read. Maintain notes. Preferably read one book at a time. one aspect which I'd like to tell you is for good and rapid reading, you need to widen your vision. You know, ex-President Robert Kennedy, who was assassinated in 1962, could finish a Time magazine consists of about 40 pages, in 1 hour. Why? How did he do it? Because his span of observation was the whole line. He could read one line at one time and his vision would move downwards. What we do is our vision is only 3 words. So to read a sentence, you have to keep moving left to right, or right to left if you are reading Arabic like I do, or Urdu. That's right to left. So my advice to you is widen your vision of reading. It should not be 3 words. It should at least be half the line. And if you notice that the magazines of today have got narrow columns. It's not like the Illustrated Weekly of old where it ran across the whole page. Why? Because the publishers realized that for rapid reading, the vision should move in one direction, not in multi-directions. So widen your vision, the width of your vision, the breadth of your vision. Some management books which I would strongly recommend. Have you heard of Jack Ma? If you haven't, then you missed something. His biography says, never give up. Major Ali has told you about that. Never give up. But there are 3 nuggets in that book which caught my mind, and I took notes. And he says, as a manager, you are not expected to know everything. I mean, I don't know everything about the military. I depend on my subordinates and my superiors. You as a manager will not know everything. So he advised, when hiring people, hire people smarter than what you are. Now that's, if you are very proud of yourself, to say, how can I hire somebody smarter than I am? No. But take Jack Ma's advice, hire people smarter than you are. The problem with hiring smart people is that they can't work together. One thinks he's smarter than the other. So your job as a leader or as a manager is to make those smart people work together. That will be the secret of your success as a leader. And last thing which he says, everybody goes in for something different. That's important. In industry, you have to go to be successful, to be different. But he says, not only different, but something unique. So give the customer something unique. Jack Ma, you must read. Next book I would recommend is The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. All these books, if you can read, you got it done. What he argues is that doing well with money has less to do with intelligence and more to do with behavior. So if you want to make money, intelligence is important, but what is most important is your behavior towards your client, towards your workers, and everything else. The next is the biography of Ratan Tata. Some of his famous quotes are worth repeating to you all. He says, I don't believe in taking the right decisions. I take decisions and then make them right. Okay? This is so very important. You will sometimes make an incorrect decision, but work in such a way that it ultimately proves to be the right decision. Next, he says, if it stands in the test of public scrutiny, do it. That means if some decision of yours stands correct in public scrutiny, do it. If it doesn't pass through the test of the public, then don't do it. So ethics are just as important as anything else in industry. Power and wealth are not two of the main stakes. Next, he says, none can destroy iron except the rust in the iron. So if you have got this rust inside you, discard it. Otherwise, it's going to destroy you like rust destroys iron. And lastly, he says, use the ups and downs in life. They are very, very important to keep us going. Because the parabolic curve, it will come. And what Tata says, a straight line is dangerous. Even in an ECG. How many have had an ECG? If there's a straight line, the doctor says there's something wrong. So, accept the parabolic curves in your life. Another last book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. How many of you have read it? Oh, it's an amazing book. You must get hold of it. It is the differences between a poor dad, that means the author's dad, who was poor, and rich dad, that is the dad of his best friend. And it examines the various aspects of being rich and being very poor. Ladies and gentlemen, you must read these few books which I have mentioned. And lastly, a good manager or leader must be healthy. A sound body is a sound mind. If you are not healthy, and health will only come through self-discipline and hard work. Don't get obese, don't develop physical unfitness. All these are very important, overlooked by a large number of leaders. No, to be an effective leader, you have to have strength of character and physical fitness. And remember, as a leader, even if you fall, you must get up. Because when you get up, you are at least 2 steps ahead of where you fell. I hope my exposition to you on the advantages of reading stand you in good stead. If you follow a little bit of my advice, let me tell you, let me assure you, success is going to follow you. God bless you all. Godspeed.
Thank you so much, sir. I would like to request you to please stay on stage while I open the house for a couple of questions if you have. If any of you have any question, you can raise your hand. We can take a couple of questions.
Sir, you mentioned about smart reading. So let's suppose there are time constraints and we do not have time to read the entire book. So we can feed the book of the PDF of the book to an AI and just ask for its summary and how we can inculcate that into our life. Would that be equally fine, or to some extent it would be fine, or what are your thoughts on that?
Part of smart reading. But let me give you some advice. If you are short of time, read the jacket of the book. It gives you, and read the foreword. Read the conclusion, the last page of the book. How many have read Gone with the Wind? None of you have read this great novel, Gone with the Wind, Margaret Mitchell? Read it. Okay, so smart reading is getting the essence of the book with little time at your disposal. Read the jacket of the book and resort to AI if you are smart enough.
Okay, one more question, sir. Recently, 1 or 2 months back, I came across a quote regarding trustworthiness. It says, if you want to compare that how trustworthy you are, be as trustworthy as an AK-47. What are your thoughts of that?
Absolutely correct. When I joined the army, my father presented me a revolver which he had worn in the Second World War. He was not a soldier. He was a civilian attached to 14th Army at Imphal. And he told me, Zamir, a revolver is better than an automatic. Because a pistol, automatic pistol, there's a thing called roke. Suddenly it stops firing. And he says at crucial moments, you can't have a weapon misfiring or not firing. A revolver, the old-fashioned, fires 6 rounds without stopping. I found the AK-47, which is as good as a revolver. I've never found it getting a roke. It never. It may be all sorts of mud, all sorts of water, but an AK is the most reliable weapon. You are absolutely right. I speak that from personal experience.
One more question if anybody wants to ask.
Yes.
Space for one question.
Good evening. Beg your pardon? Oh, I was in a squadron called Echo Squadron, which in British times was called Easy Squadron. So they didn't like the name Easy, so I'm an Echoite.
And sir, my question is like, pre-COVID, there were more than 35,000 MSMEs, and post-COVID, the MSMEs decreased. And continuously, the secularism talk is going on in the parliament. Sometimes, like they will remove the secularism out, they will not remove. And whereas, on the same time, our adversary China, they are continuously focusing on development and they are building dams and technology. So what is your advice to us, as now we are in our 20s and after 2 years we are stepping in the business world? So how can we do that in the future? We will surpass China in business as well as in technology.
We were at the same level as China 30 years back. Now China is 30 years ahead of us in national wealth, in technology, in everything else. Boys and girls, you as managers and leaders must ensure that we leapfrog. If we keep walking or if we keep running, we won't be able to catch up. We have got to leapfrog and catch up. You know what leapfrogging is? You jump. You don't have to run the whole pace. You keep jumping like a kangaroo. That is the only way. If we become self-sufficient, if we leapfrog, we can easily catch up with China. And you, the younger lot, are going to do the leapfrogging. We've done our running. We tried to run. We couldn't catch up. You have to leapfrog.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a small little question, and that will be all. That will be the last question. I am curious to know, sir, you wrote an autobiography. Why did you name it The Sarkari Musalman?
I wrote a book called The Sarkari Musalman. Why? It is a derogatory term given by the Muslim community to their own members who don't go out of the way to give them favors. Now, a government servant cannot do that. A government servant has to stick by the rules. And when I was Vice Chancellor of Aligarh Muslim University, so a lot of Muslim families would come to me. Are you aware that Aligarh Muslim University is not a Muslim university at all? Admissions and teachers are from all communities, admitted on merit. There's an examination, and any person from any community, any religion gets admitted provided he or she qualifies. So when I did not bow down to demands of nature, okay, he's of the community, give him admission. So I was given the title of Sarkari. Shah Sahab to Sarkari Musalman hai. He doesn't stand by the community. No, I do stand by my community. I am very proud of my faith, but I also follow rules. I think that we have to follow, as government servants, we have to follow the rules and go by the rules. And thus the book, The Sarkari Musalman, where I have explained why it was named such.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this enriching talk. And thank you so much for your words of wisdom. We are really, really grateful that you came here and we could be a part of, the audience to listen to you. Thank you so much for every word that you shared with us. And now may I please request you to be with me on stage for a few more minutes while I invite on stage Dr. Muhammad Faisal Noor, Associate Professor, to please be on stage with me so that we can extend our token of small little gratitude for Lieutenant General Shah. Huge round of applause for Lieutenant General Zamiruddin Shah.
I would like to take this brief moment that I have to pour my indebtedness to sir. While I was in my BTech, sir joined later as the Vice Chancellor of my university. And obviously he's from the army background, and coming to the academics, sir had different visions. And I still remember, sir, you used the same phrase today also, I assure you. And when he came to Aligarh Muslim University, he assured us that he will take the university to higher ranks. When I joined Aligarh Muslim University, it was among the 90 top universities. By the time sir left, it was in the top 20 universities. And I'm along with so many students from Aligarh Muslim University, we are forever indebtedness for sir. Thank you, sir.
And ladies and gentlemen, I am indeed honored by you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap this evening, a heartfelt thank you to our esteemed panelists for sharing their time, insights and stories with us. We truly appreciate and value you, the value you brought to these sessions. Thank you so much. And of course, a big shout out to you all in the audience for that fantastic questions that you came up with. Your enthusiasm and energy made this event come alive. This is your host, Misha Bajwa Chaudhary signing off. Have a wonderful rest of the evening. Thank you.